Greetings everyone, Umby here, and we're back here in top 8 of the VGC Draft League. My match is coming up a little bit shortly, so I'm kind of going over the approach I'm taking here, and it's a little bit of a doozy. Obviously on your screen you can see my opponent Jeypi has Weezing and Regigigas, which takes up a lot of my resources to try and deal with. Because the main thing is in the early turns, if they decide to lead Weezing Regigigas, I don't have immediate ways to knock them out. Typically, Weezing goes for Protect early on, so even if you were to like max or try and use a super effective move on it, it's not going to go down right away, where the Regigigas might pick up a KO in the meantime. So typically the strategy is to try and survive the storm. If Regigigas maxes early, try and survive that max, mitigate as much damage as possible, and then try and counter engage later on with your own Dynamax. Usually to knock out the Weezing, because even without max, Regigigas is really bulky on base 110 in HP, defense, and special defense. That being said, if you get an opportunity to, go ahead and knock it out, like say for example, if I have maybe a Choice Band or Life Orb or Shifu, I can knock it out with close combat, that sort of thing, but it's not always so cut and dry, so I definitely had my troubles preparing for this one. And you also have to consider in the back, they can be holding on to Meowstic, which can use like Prankster Screens if they really wanted to further increase their bulk. Spectrier is something to watch out for. I'm pretty insulated having 2 dark type Pokemon of my own, but if I'm not careful, that's something that I could stack up its Grim Maze and kind of run away with the game. And then lastly, I'm also particularly keeping an eye on Marowak. I do have 3 electric types on my team, so they may feel incentivized to bring it. And I think it's not the worst idea to bring into this team, considering that my main ways of getting damage onto the Marowak, as far as like super effective damage, are Serena, which doesn't look too great into this team, considering Rotom, Celesteela, even the Gigas is not going to survive too long against that, and Swampert. And Swampert's kind of in a weird position because it's not, its defenses aren't great enough to really survive Gigas for too long either. So if I haven't dealt with it, it's just kind of sitting there. Maybe it sponges up an attack at least, but it's very unlikely to get an attack off on its own. So if I'm just dealing with my own electric types, I've got Thundurus with max Airstream, but outside of max, it's harder to hit Marowak. If I have Raikou, I can Scald, but it's not a one-hit KO. And then Rotom, that's where I have to kind of put all my money into. That's going to do the most damage through Max Flare and Overheat. And honestly, that's kind of the best option, because if you bring Marowak, there's a little bit of an incentive to bring Celesteela, actually. Given that if I decide to use Thundurus, Marowak will protect the Celesteela from the Wild Charge, the Max Lightning, and Max Airstream, Fly, Max Knuckles is not going to do too much to the Celesteela if I have to target it down. So it's actually, I think, a surprising pairing that could come along and doesn't do too bad into the rest of the team either. It gets the Meteor Beam to deal with Heat. It's got Flash Cannon to deal with Lego or Heavy Slam, if you will. I think they've got a number of really good options to kind of play into my team. I think the issue potentially for both of us is it really depends on what we decide to bring, and how we cater our EV spreads that will determine how well we match up into each other. So as far as for myself, what I've come up with some help, relying on Togetic and Rotom-H mainly to kind of get my my initial pressure, and then try and clean up in the back with my remaining Pokemon. So with Togetic, like I mentioned, it's about surviving the storm, right? In the early turns, if they go Weezing and Regigigas. So Regigigas is not going to be able to knock out Togetic immediately with Eviolite. It's actually really bulky. You can even see I got the plus nature with the with max defense. So it'll take a max strike or a Giga Impact, what have you, and be able to survive unless the Weezing doubles up into it. And that's the plan, to go ahead and use Follow Me in that same turn, and I get a nasty plot into the Rotom-H, which will allow me to then focus down the Weezing in the remaining turns. This is particularly important because with my other leads, I'm still kind of focusing on Thundurus here. So the typical lead would be like Thundurus and Togetic, right? Because where Regigigas would max strike, I get to use Airstream to maintain my speed control. What happens though is if they take out my Togetic, if the Weezing is running Will-O-Wisp, then my Thundurus gets, it becomes a lot more useless, right? With Rotom-H, I get to nullify the Will-O-Wisp that comes out from the Weezing, and I'm able to launch a special offensive to take advantage of its lower special defense. It could be running max special defense, which makes it tougher. That's why I'm saying here, it really just depends on what they bring to the table. That kind of determines the pacing and how I make my decisions in the game, right? In the back, I really want to hide my Urshifu. It is a Scarf variant, and it's going to be crucial in taking down Spectrier in the clutch. Assuming Spectrier does come out, I'm expecting a Dynamax from it, which means there's no real speed control outside of max strike. So eventually Urshifu gets in and goes in and picks up a KO on it. If my other members can survive, it starts to turn into my favor once I get into that position. Right? Everything else is just kind of, with Nihilego and Raikou, I'm just looking to be faster than the Regigigas. Once like Togetic is knocked out, or if Rotom is knocked out, I'm not too worried about speed control. Between Nihilego, Raikou, and Choice Scarf, I'm just going to be naturally faster than the Regigigas, and that opens up a few doors for me. I can start focusing down Weezing with, let's say, for example, Meteor Beam. With Raikou, I may switch out Rising Voltage for Thunderbolt. Rising Voltage is mainly for if I'm able to get off a Max Lightning with the Rotom, which is my expectation. Both of them using Rising Voltage outside of Max is really strong, and during Max it's one of the higher power moves without me having to use Thunder. So I kind of like that a little bit. I also like Helping Hand on Raikou. Right now it's set to Aura Sphere, just in case they bring Credilli. I'm not 100% certain if I care if they bring Credilli, but I think it's something that can match pretty well into my team. Most of the hits I'm going to run into it are going to be neutral, if not very effective, and then it gets to launch super effective attacks into me. Thundurus and Rotom weak to rock. If I brought Swampert to mitigate that, it has Stab, Giga Drain to deal with it. If I want to bring Serena, it could be using Sludge Bomb. Even Nihilego, it can run Earth Power to actually deal with me. It's not the most amazing special offense, but I think it could be a valuable defensive utility into my team. So yeah, right now I'm thinking Aura Sphere just so I have some effective damage into it. Even with Life Orb though, it may not be quite enough. But if I decide I want to Dynamax Raikou, I do have the benefit of giving both Urshifu and Grimmsnarl an attack boost with it if I chose to do so. But yeah, that might switch over to a different move. I'm not sure just yet. Got a little bit of time to decide. The last slot is really the hardest one. Once I got this core of 5 Pokemon, which I'm pretty confident are the best choices into that team, it's hard to find a Pokemon that's going to really synergize with the rest of these, because ideally it's going to be Togetic, Rotom, and Urshifu. There's 3 Pokemon I consistently bring to the battle. The 4th Pokemon, Nihilego and Raikou, like I mentioned before, these are speedy Pokemon that will stay ahead of the the Regigigas, allowing me some more room to launch an offensive. I can do the same thing with Thundurus, but its role is pretty much filled with Raikou, with Rotom. And outside of Dynamax, it kind of opens me up to Marowak being that much more of a nuisance. So I don't want to really rely on that. Serena doesn't, like I mentioned, doesn't look too great into this team. Registeel I think will be hard to position, and I also have to deal with Spectrier. If I'm running a body press set, which if you're running Registeel, you're running a body press set, I think is tough. And then Fletchinder is more for leading. There are some cheesy strats that I can go for, none that I'm too confident in, to where I don't know if I want to run that as the 6-mon. So it kind of leaves me with just Grimmsnarl, to be honest, which I don't think is terrible. You see I've got a weird set on. That's just because since neutralizing gas is going to override Prankster, and if they bring Indeedee, Psychic Terrain will mess up an offensive Prankster. So I've been going with its off ability, Frisk. That'll also help me to scout out what type of items they want to bring to the match. And from there, I'm just running a physical moveset. That might be adjusted a little bit as well. So Foul Play, Power Whip, Spirit Break. It's got a ton of physical options, really. From Crunch over, I could replace Foul Play with Crunch. I could decide to use Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, just for basic coverage. And then, of course, Fairy move, Spirit Break or Play Rough. Spirit Break has the most utility, whereas Play Rough gets me the most damage. I'm not planning on Grimmsnarl to be the highest damage for my team, so opting more for the utility here. But yeah, that's where I landed. A little bit more confident in the first 5. Things are still set to be adjusted if I need to. Really just need to figure out this last Pokemon slot, and then we can head into the battle. Okay, all the challenges are set up and we're about to get underway. We did make a couple of adjustments. Okay, so we did make a couple of adjustments where I have... Actually, that's not correct. But yeah, we made a couple adjustments where Raikou does have Helping Hand, and I swapped out Helping Hand on Rotom for Protect, just in case the Meowstic came along and is threatening the Fake Out. And then last but not least, I was expecting actually the Celesteela to come along, so I was looking at Fire Punch on Grimmsnarl, and it looks like they brought along pretty much all the Pokemon we're expecting to come through. Gigas, of course, Marowak, my training partner, and predicted the Indeedee coming along, and then I'm predicting the Celesteela was a good choice to bring along with the Marowak. All that said, we're still going to run our game plan here. They didn't bring the Spectrier, so we might not be able, we might not need to use the Urshifu here. Let's see. Urshifu still looks overall good though. I definitely want to bring Raikou. And in all honesty, Urshi still looks solid in the late game, so let's go. Okay, so this is likely well, they're not running Fake Out. Interesting. They might just be going for Psychic Spam? Tell you what, let's get a feel for what they're doing here. I'm gonna Protect. And it's possible they may be running an off ability on the Meowstic. Let's see, it gets Competitor, Infiltrator, Keen Eye. Oh, well, no. It's Infiltrator or Keen Eye. This could be very interesting. All right, yeah, let's just play it safe on the first turn. Kind of feeling each other out. Trick Room. Okay. I'm down. They can still go for psychic spam here. I still don't have a feel for what exactly they're trying to go for. This gives me some good information. I might be able to lead like a Grimstone in the second game. I think here I want to nullify the Psychic Terrain just for that purpose. So I'm gonna max. Well, no. Because they could be bringing in the Marowak here. All right, before we get too feisty with the Electric Terrain, let's run Max Flare instead. Let's see, Indeedee didn't get a boost, so they're not using Psychic Seed either. This is really interesting. Okay, let's launch it into the Meowstic. Test the waters. Yeah, they're just going for a Psychic Spam. Okay, got it. Quick pickup. All right, so they're running an offensive Meowstic, not bulky. That is good info. I think they bring in the Marowak here, though. Okay, interesting strategy my opponent brought along. And I do not hate it. I mean, I hate being on the receiving end of it, but as an option into my team, they might be trying to influence me to bring out both my dark types. And I was considering Trick Room on my own from the Nihilego, maybe to set up the Registeel or the Swampert, but Trick Room on their end looks a lot better. But really depends on, did they bring the Marowak? Like, I'm expecting that they did, and I can sort of play around it. Like, especially now that their Trick Room setter is gone, we may be able to mess around with the turns just a little bit. But it is really tricky. I think we're gonna have to rely on Urshifu in the end game, and really hope that they didn't bring the Celesteela. I think it is trouble if they brought Selly. Okay, so I'm expecting a max Rockfall here. So I may have to just sack the Togetic. I think I'm going to play it a little bit safe, though. I want to waste as many turns of Trick Room as possible. And it gives me a feel of like how they want to play. I think if they Rockfall on a Togetic, though, it may be close. I'm not sure. It's actually pretty scary because let's see. We're in 2 turns deep on Trick Room. If I max guard, that will be we'll have 2 more turns of Trick Room left. We'll have to play out 1 more turn where I'll follow me into a max flare. And this is assuming Togetic lives. And then the last turn, I'll have to double protect and hope I live that. Oof, this is kind of scary. Yeah, let's go for protect into max guard. Maybe I should do a calc first. Yeah, let's do a calc. My Togetic is Bowl 252 versus Marowak. Dynamaxed and through a protect. Max Rockfall. Okay, yeah, that should not kill. Now, if all goes well, we should be able to play this out at the end of Trick Room. Oh, okay. So they were willing to, okay. This is actually tougher for me because if I had taken that turn to follow me and attack with the Marowak, I actually could have knocked it out. Now I'm at a deficit because they could definitely max here and I'm in trouble. Unless they're saving that max for like, I don't know, Celesteela. But now I do have to follow me. And I think I actually have to max flare into Indeedee. Because if they max guard, it's not the end of the world, right? Use overheat. And I'm kind of stuck. If they max, I do have to wait out the max. So I think I have to take out this Indeedee, and Indeedee is super bulky. It's not running Psychic Seed, fortunately. Oh boy. Who to target? Who to target? I think I have to go for Marowak here. Like, if they didn't max already. Yeah, I gotta risk it, because even if they don't attack, even the Expanding Force isn't gonna KO me. I gotta go for it, because I need this Marowak out of here. Okay. Oh, when the Stone Edge missed. That was fortunate for me, unfortunate for my opponent. I think Celesteela is the one that's in the back. If it is, we have some leeway. So, let's see. They've shown Marowak, they've shown Meowstic, and they've shown Indeedee, which means they're not using Gigas or Weezing, which it definitely means Celesteela is here. Celesteela is 100% here. Okay. It's really weird because if Celesteela maxes here, they can Airstream. Like, I want to bring in Urshifu, right? But if I max here, they'll just they could just Airstream. They'll underspeed me, and then they'll come out in the outside of the Trick Room ahead of me. So I'm almost forced to bring in Raikou. But if they decide to Airstream, if they Airstream at all, I'm at a deficit. Alright, one more turn of Trick Room, one more turn of Side Terrain remaining. Alright, we'll just double protect here. And that'll mitigate some significant damage. They are probably running... Okay. If they decide they want to Rockfall into Rotom, I think that's the best case scenario. Because then I get to bring in Urshifu for free. I get to target down Indeedee with Wicked Blow, which should KO unless it's Sash. In which case I have to double up into the Indeedee, which is fine because we're still attacking into the Celesteela. I think this is an okay position, but it's still a tricky end game. I do find it interesting. I think if they max the Marowak in that position, they are really set. I think what's happening is this is a physical Celesteela, so their only flying type move is Fly. If they're expecting my Urshifu to show up, they don't really have a good way of attacking into it if they don't know what moveset I'm running. But either way, like Marowak would have wrapped up this game if they had maxed it. I think they were a little bit greedy going for the Stone Edge into the Rotom. Like despite the miss didn't really matter because I redirected it on the on that one turn. But going into the Rotom, hoping to kill with the Stone Edge to reserve their max for Celesteela, I think is a little bit greedy because you brought the Marowak to deal with my electric types. So the expectation is that I'm bringing those electric types, and Marowak, if Marowak is your counter, you kind of want to reserve it. With Rotom taking it out really quickly, I'm glad I made that call. Like I was trying to play a little bit conservative, expecting the max. I'm glad it's like played it straightforward. Still a tricky endgame. Jeypi making sure to take this one all the way through. Typically we're not running, we haven't been running timer throughout this series. Let's see. If they airstream, it's trouble. Okay, they did airstream. Got it. And they're trying to Expanding Force to maximize their damage. And we stalled out both Trick Room and Psychic Terrain. Okay, great. This is still tough. Still very tough. Because the airstream is really what's going to mess me up here. Or will it? No, even with the airstream, I'm faster than the Celesteela. It just depends on whether or not they're using I think my best bet, really, is if they use anything other than airstream again. I think I'm fine. All right, I have to Rising Voltage. Unfortunately, we didn't get Lightning Terrain down or Electric Terrain down, and my own Rising Voltage is not going to do a lot into a max Celesteela. Yeah, I have to pretty much target down the ND until max is down. So we'll do that. I think we need to overheat into the Celesteela. Overheating to the Celesteela is not going to do much if it lands either. That's the other issue. Yeah, like even in the sun. Yeah, I really got to wait until max goes down. So we will double target into the NDD. So if we're lucky, we get to pick up a KO. Depends on what the Celesteela does here. The Indeedee can still, like, with the airstream, it should be faster than my Rotom, so it can still target down the Rotom. Oh, that's good damage. What in the world? Yeah, there it is. And then they airstream again. That's what I was afraid of. And now it should be faster than my my Urshifu. All right. That being said, it has to target down the Urshifu. Okay, so we know that my Rising Voltage doesn't do a ton. At least not to the Celesteela, even with Life Orb, right? all Dynamaxed, 22 to 35, and then Urshifu. Mine is Adamant. Yeah, even with Wicked Blow, it's not doing a lot, so it depends on how slow the Celesteela is, but I've got to target into Indeedee and hope for the best. Yeah, I think that one turn that I wasted not using Follow Me Max Flare. It's in that instance, I am expecting a max from the Marowak. That just made sense to me. Yeah, if I was able to call that turn, I think I could have found a better position here. So I'd have like one more turn of Dynamax. I get to get my Electric Terrain down, but I use that turn to max guard instead, trying to stall out Trick Room turns. I think my only hope here... Oh, I'm still faster. What in the world? Oh, the Indeedee is undersped so it can work under Trick Room. Oh, that's great. Okay, this is still tough though. This is still really tough. All right, so it is a special attack variant, which means there might be a Meteor Beam hiding out. I want to protect here. Okay. We might be in good shape. All right, and they brought Wakanberry, so that's cool. All right, if they brought Wakanberry, they're not gonna be running the Meteor Beam. I wasn't thinking that through. I could have lost. I could have actually lost there. Still depends on how much damage this Air Slash does. Because if I don't resist it well enough, after a +1, my Life Orb could kill me. But yeah, all we can do right now is Rising Voltage and hope for the game win. Everyone's at the edge of their seats. Excellent. Okay, really close one. Too close for comfort, really. And with the Life Orb, I think they're going a really frail Celesteela, which is still weird that I outsped that. It's possible they're going for Modest. Like I'm thinking they went for Modest. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because the Rising Voltage. Yeah, I think I got a little bit lucky there with that crit. Yeah, when I hit the Wakanberry and got the crit, I think that definitely mattered. Even still, like with the Life Orb Rising Voltage, I'm surprised that it did that much damage. Like it has to be like a really frail Celesteela, or I underestimated how much Rising Voltage would do outside of Celesteela's Dynamax. Yeah, they're not running a ton of HP, or oh wait, that's what's messing up my calculations. This Pikalytics one has a lot of special defense. But if they're running max HP, still a pretty good range. So it depends on how much the Rising Voltage does outside of the Wakanberry. All right, so let's reconfigure for a second. The Trick Room was definitely devastating. So we have to figure out if we want to go with the same battle plan, which I think the answer is yes. The last time I played it safe, right? Because I didn't know what the Meowstic was going for. I think now I get an opportunity. Let's see. How do I want to play this? I think Togetic Rotom is still a play. I get a chance to Nasty Plot this time. And I think that makes a huge difference. I can also go for Double Dark. I'm not going to try and predict the Double Psychic terrain. I think it's just best to stick with Togetic and Rotom here. Question is how I want to run it afterwards. I think Urshifu came in clutch there. Raikou came in clutch. I think I'm almost forced to take Raikou. Let's say I'm in that same position and I run Grimmsnarl. And I get the Fire Punch off. Being Adamant with high attack and a Focus Sash. Not Fire Blast, you fool. Fire Punch. Okay, not 100% certain how accurate this is, but 50% damage is still pretty good. I just want the extra buffer. I'm gonna feel a little bit naked without Raikou, in all honesty. So let's run Raikou again. I think I am going to run I'm gonna run Grimmsnarl this time over Urshifu. Alright, there it is. Alright, let's just run Follow Me. Nasty Plot. Really makes me wish I had gone Urshifu this time then, but we will move forward as is. Yeah, I was thinking they may like go ahead and lead this instead of the Psychic Terrain. That's why I didn't want to like I didn't want to read too heavily into it. But at the same time, I was still feeling a little bit unsure, especially if they decide to keep Celesteela in the back. So I just wanted to play cautious. Alright, so they have some options here. They can reserve their Dynamax. They can go ahead and Max Strike. They can try and double up into the Togetic, knowing that I'm going to Follow Me. But that's the best case scenario for me. Because I'll go ahead and get the +2 Overheat into Weezing. I think they still bring Marowak here. So I think we're looking at Gigas, Weezing, Marowak. I think the 4th slot is where it gets a little bit tricky to call. There's the Max Strike. And we survive both of it. Okay, so that's some information. Because my normal calcs have that killing Togetic. Interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. What in the world? Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. I want to protect Togetic here. I'm expecting a Sludge Bomb. They might try and split target here. Or do they? Or does it matter? Either way, we get to waste a turn of their Dynamax. I'm gonna protect here. And then I'm going to max flare into the Weezing. Because like, I think a max guard and protect is a little bit too greedy. Well, tell you what. Max guard and protect's a little bit too greedy. Like I want to stall out their Dynamax as best as possible. I don't want to waste a turn where they just like max strike the Togetic, like no regard. However, there's a real possibility that they split target here, where they go for max strike into Rotom, and just say like, hey, if Togetic redirects it, Togetic redirects it, right? And then they just aim to Sludge Bomb with the Weezing, just for assurance. But they can also protect with the Weezing, expecting me to max flare them, or substitute if they have that. In which case, all they can do really is attack the Togetic, so it was gone anyway. If they do attack the Rotom though, I don't die, and I get another turn to follow me with the Togetic. They're thinking. Now the only thing with this plan though is I do risk a possible crit from max strike in the Rotom, which would be the end of me. But if they do one max strike, I am EV to live with Citrus Berry. It turns into a 3-hit KO rather than a 2-hit KO. So I'm fine with that, as long as we get a chance to knock out Weezing. I know these turns are taking a long time, but I do not mind having timer turned off. I think it's really interesting when you get a chance to think through the turns. Having to condense everything into like a whole 30 seconds, especially when nerves are high. For this type of league, I think is fine. If it was like, if we were doing like a bracket tournament all in one day, of course, timers are important, but we're just doing this once a week. Best of 3, so I don't mind taking our time here. I think we've got our plan. Protect. They did max strike the Rotom. Great. And they tried. Ooh, the Hades. Okay. I like it. I like it. All right, I am forced to follow me this turn though. And I am gonna max lightning with the Weezing. I want electric terrain set up for Raikou when it comes in. Even if they bring in Marowak, I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine. But I don't think they risk it. That's a free max flare that they're taking. And imagine if I had Helping Handed there instead. I was thinking about it. I just wasn't. I was being greedy, trying to keep Togetic if they split target. But a Helping Hand max flare would have actually KO'd the Weezing. And how much did we do with that? It is a Citrus Berry. We did 85% to the Weezing. This is actually data that I need to figure out what exactly it's running. So with my Rotom, 60 EVs modest, and an overheat, flare powered by overheat. I did about 85% damage to this Weezing. Sun was not up yet, so it is not running any special defense EVs. I think it's like running a high speed variant. Yeah, I think it's running a high speed variant, and I got a high roll on the damage. So I know it's not running like Calm or anything. That is important, because we may we may be able to use Nihilego. If we're running like any special defense, I don't think I can KO it with Nihi. With the Meteor Beam at least. We also know its moveset. I didn't think about the Haze for some reason. So Haze, Sludge Bomb. Oh, we only know 2 moves. Haze and Sludge Bomb. So we still need to figure out if it's running Protect, if it's running Taunt, Will-O-Wisp. If nothing else, we are in a solid position, as we have run out Regigigas's max turns. So we can start planning towards the next few turns, right? So let's say that I bring in Raikou. No Dynamax. Life Orb. Rising Voltage. And this is assuming we get Electric Terrain down. Electric Terrain into Gigas. Am I still Dynamaxed? Rising Voltage into Regigigas, because we know we kill Weezing from this point. Does quite a bit, actually. I'm not max special attack, but that's a close enough a roll that I might actually okay. Oh, okay, that's great, that's great, that's great, that's great. Alright, so I have a choice to make. I need to go ahead and KO this Weezing. So the smart thing to do is to double target into the Weezing. So we use Rising Voltage into Weezing, and we also max Flare into the Weezing. It may go for double Protect. I think we have to. I think we have to go ahead and do. I think we have to take care of it like immediately. We have to bank on the Protect not working. Kill it with the Rising Voltage. If Marowak decides to come in, Regigigas' power is lowered, so we're not worried about the damage either way. And if they do bring in Marowak, I get to kill it with Overheat. Oh? That's a straight knockout. Alright, I think that was the best case scenario for us, actually. So they brought Meowstic. Okay. Weezing Gigas, Meowstic, and... Is it gonna be Indeedee? It can't be Indeedee. Like, they would have brought it in, wouldn't they? Interesting. Okay, this is still a little bit tough. This is still a little bit tough. So we know they have Weezing in the back. I almost want to reserve my Raikou, but I have a feeling that they're going to just Stone Edge my Rotom. And at -1 speed, my Rotom. Alright, well let's first get this figured out. If I Scald the Marowak, I'm not gonna do a lot. I already know that much. If I Scald the Regigigas in the sun, it's not gonna do a lot either. Alright, this is kind of a bad position for me. I think I need to preserve my Raikou. But how to go about doing that is the tricky part. And at in the same instance, I also need to. Well, actually, what is Marowak's speed minimum? It's 58. And then my Rotom is at 74 speed. I would have to hope. So even at -1 speed, my Rotom outruns Marowak. It's a tough call. And this is assuming it's not like a high-speed Marowak, which I assume it's not because they're running Trick Room. Yeah, let's bank on that. We'll protect our Raikou, we'll overheat the Marowak, and play from there. I'm still faster than Marowak. In the sun, overheat, yes, that's okay. Good. They were banking on the -1 speed being enough to deal with me. Alright, electric terrain is still up. So I think I can just split target Rising Voltage here. My priority is on Regigigas. So I'll Rising Voltage the Regigigas with my Raikou, Rising Voltage the Weezing with my Rotom. Yeah, like he's on the same track that I was. Like, yeah, GG's. Yeah, it was the speed mattered there a lot, and Marowak's just too slow, especially if we're talking about like Trick Room in the calculations. Yeah, so the Grimmsnarl was ill-advised to bring. I should have just brought Urshifu. I'm not sure. I didn't want to get caught in a situation where I couldn't immediately contest the Celesteela. I wanted to give myself some breathing room. But if I just play the game like I did, expecting the Weezing Gigas to be the adjustment, then Urshifu, the Scarf Urshifu is always the play. So this could have very well turned into a loss, but still, even here, the Sash gives me a little bit of leeway as long as one of these two Pokemon are up. But yeah, still good games. Like, very good games to my opponent. Like, I'm gonna be honest, this was like a very frustrating matchup to have to deal with. I was really hoping like to just not run into it at any point. I'm not gonna call it cheesy, but it's just a very easy strategy to cause as much pressure as it does. And I think as far as like picking up for this draft league, the costs of it were pretty cheap. I think Weezing was like a lower cost Pokemon, and then Regigigas on its own is not like a high, like at the top of the tiers, right? But it was still, it still felt like for picking this up and still getting like really cool pieces like Urshifu and Spectrier, it was just like really too cheap to get. Either way, I had fun with this one. We get to move into top 4 with this one. A little bit of luck involved, I think, from game 1. And that put a lot of pressure on them to like kind of fall into my trap in the game 2. So, hey, we'll take it. There are going to be a couple more games that follow between today and tomorrow. So if we can get the replays, I'll go ahead and spectate those and make videos for that. But otherwise, hey, we'll see you in the top 4 video. Take care.